I have one question for everyone. When do you feel happy? When do you feel happy? Can you think about it? For example, Brother Lawrence, he mentioned his life. He said that he had found himself so unhappy apart from God's presence. Likewise, he feels happy only when he is with the presence of God. With the presence of God. In the same way, as you are Christian, we are happy when His presence, when God's presence dwells in us. Especially today, we can find God who sent His presence to His people. So let us meditate on God through the passage together. So let us read verse 19 one more time together. Ready, go. Then the angel of God who was going before the host of Israel moved, and behind them the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. To begin, let us find out the background of the passage today. Today, it is God's salvation story for the Israelites from the wilderness to the promised land. Unfortunately, the Israelites, they are feared for the Egyptians. For example, let us read Exodus chapter 14 and verse 10. Ready, go. When Pharaoh drew near, the people of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they feared greatly. And the people of Israel cried out to the Lord. They feared greatly. Likewise, the Israelites were afraid of the Egyptians who were trying to accuse them. Of course, the Israelites, they first trust and follow God through the leadership of Moses. However, they are feared for their circumstance. They fear greatly. So they cry out to the Lord who led them into the suffering. Furthermore, they even complained to Moses who led them from Egypt to the wilderness. So let us read verse 11 together. Ready, go. They said to Moses, is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us in bringing us out of Egypt? Unfortunately, the Israelites, they complained to Moses since they believed that he led them into suffering. Therefore, Moses, he was worried about his circumstance. However, he did not give up, but rather, he encouraged the Israelites who were fearful. So let us continue to read Exodus chapter 14 and verse 13 to 14. And when you read this time, think about how Moses encouraged the Israelites. So let us read verse 13 first. Ready, go. And Moses said to the people, fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. Verse 14. I will lead it for all. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. Likewise, Moses, he encouraged the Israelites not to fear their circumstance. In other words, the Israelites had no reason to be afraid of the Egyptians since God was with them. In other words, God would fight for them in order to save them. To be specific, Moses, he was assured that God would save the Israelites from the Egyptians. So you understand the background. The Israelites, they lost all their hopes in the wilderness. Nevertheless, God was with them in order to save them. So I have one question. How did God save them? How did God save them? Especially we can find answer from the passage today. So let us read verse 19 one more time together. Ready, go. Then the angel of God who was going before the host of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. First of all, the angel of God who refers to God's divine messenger, was with the Israelites. Especially the word host here refers to the camp of the Israelites. In other words, God sent the angel of God to be with the Israelites, to be saved from Egypt. The angel of God has been guiding and leading the Israelites to be saved. Of course, the Israelites could not see the angel of God, but the invisible God was stand by the Israelites in the wilderness. And as you can see on the map here, the angel of God has been guiding their journey from Egypt to the wilderness to Mount Sinai, which is a promised land. Of course, the quickest road is along the coast too, but it is also the most dangerous way, since there are many enemies. Therefore, God sent the angel of God to the Israelites to lead them on a desert road to the Red Sea in order to arrive Mount Sinai in safety. So God sent a pillar of clouds on their journey from the wilderness to the promised. That's why the Israelites have no reason to fear their circumstance as well. So why I have one question. So why God sent the pillar of cloud? What is the pillar of cloud? As you can see on the picture here, the pillar of cloud, it is a cloud which protects people from the Egyptians. In other words, the soldiers of the Egyptians, they could not come closer to the Israelites since the pillar of cloud stood there. Therefore, the purpose of the pillar of cloud refers to protection. In other words, God saved the Israelites through the pillar of cloud on their journey from the wilderness to the promised land. However, this pillar of cloud has another purpose. For example, let us read verse 20. Ready, go. Coming between the hosts of Egypt and the hosts of Israel, and there was a cloud and the darkness, and lit up night, and without one come near the other all night. Likewise, the pillar of cloud also produced light in the darkness. Therefore, the pillar of cloud separates light from darkness. Therefore, the Egyptians, they were unable to find the Israelites because of the pillar of cloud. Therefore, God sent the pillar of cloud to the Israelites in order to save them. So today we meditate on God who saved the Israelites from the Egypt. However, this God's salvation story is not just for the Israelites, but it is for us. Especially we should remember this. Can you say together, Coram? So I have one question. So what is the praise of Coram? Have you heard this praise, Coram? Yes, Coram is a Latin praise which is a compound praise by using a theologian Martin Luther. To be specific, Coram refers to the in the presence, and Deo refers to God. Therefore, he encouraged believers to continue to live in the presence of God in their circumstance. Live in the presence of God. Coram Deo. So why does it matter to us? Especially when God sent the pillar of cloud to the Israelites in the passage today, the pillar of cloud also refers to the presence of God. Especially God manifests himself through the visible presence which shows the pillar of cloud. In other words, it is God's gracious presence in our lives. Therefore, the Israelites were saved on their journey from the wilderness into the promised land. Since the presence of God, the pillar of cloud, dwells with them. Therefore, God showed himself as a protector through the pillar of the cloud. In the same way, we also live in the presence of God. In other words, we live with Coram. His presence also dwells in our lives. For example, I want to share my story with you. Last week, I have been sick and had no energy. However, I saw these clouds last Thursday, so I took the photo. As you can see on the photo here, yeah, the cloud seems like exactly the image of the pillar of cloud on the passage today. So whenever I see this cloud, it encourages me. The reason I share my story is because that His presence dwells in us. His presence always encourages us. Especially, it is our joy to live in the presence of God. For example, A.W. Tozer, a pastor, he mentioned the presence. He said that we have ceased to love Him and trust Him, and most important of all, ceased to enjoy His presence. No one escapes God's presence. Likewise, we cannot live without His presence in our life. Therefore, we should not worry about our troubles, but rather we should continue to enjoy His presence in our circumstance. Especially David, he also mentioned the presence of God in his circumstance. For example, let us read Psalm chapter 139, verse 7 to 8. Let us read verse 7, ready, go. Where should I go from your spirit? Or where should I flee from your presence? Verse 8. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. At the time, the enemies tried to accuse David. But David, he was saved in the presence of God. In other words, his presence was always there with David in his suffering. You were there. In the same way, His presence will always dwell in our lives. No matter how we are struggling with our troubles, His presence dwells in us. That's why we should not worry about our troubles, since as Moses encouraged not to fear the Israelites, His presence always encourages us. And furthermore, not only Moses, but the prophet Isaiah, he also encouraged the Israelites. For example, let us read book of Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 19. Ready, go. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the deserts. At the time, the Israelites were fearful for their circumstance in the wilderness, as the Israelites who are in the passage today. Therefore, God encouraged them not to fear their circumstance, since God had the power to save them. It was the same work of salvation in the passage today, in which God manifests Himself through the pillar of cloud. In the same way, we should also continue to trust God, who is our salvation. God will make a way for us. Also, as a cloud produces the light, God also sent His light in our lives. So who is the light? Let us read book of John chapter 8 and verse 12. Ready, go. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Likewise, Jesus is the light of the world. Yes, Jesus came to the world to shine on us in our darkness. Therefore, the purpose of light also refers to salvation. No matter how we are in darkness right now, His light always shines on us in order to save us. That's why God promised to fight for the Israelites in order to save them in the passage today. God will fight for us. In the same way, we are no longer in darkness since Jesus is the light of the world. Therefore, we only need to abide in Jesus in our lives. And furthermore, Jesus also sent His presence to His people. For example, let us read book of Matthew chapter 28 and verse 20. Ready, go. Teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you, and behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. At that time, Jesus promised His people to be with them to the end of the age through His presence. I am with you always. Therefore, Jesus also strengthens His people. That's why God also sent the pillar of cloud to the Israelites to be with them. In the same way, God also sent His presence into our lives. Therefore, God is always with us through His presence. So we should not fear and worry about our circumstance. God only wants us to enjoy His presence and trust His words. Coram, the presence of God dwells in us. God is always with us through His presence. God is our salvation. Can we read it together? Ready, go. Coram, the presence of God dwells in us. God is always with us through His presence. God is our salvation.